So there's three components. There's inflation expectations, there's credit quality, and there's liquidity concerns. And in the case of US Treasuries, which is the most liquid market in the world, there's zero liquidity concerns. But in the case of COVID, did you know that the US 10-year bond went no bid? Meaning there is no buyers within the context of the most recent bond. That is why the Fed freaked out. And they said, we'll open all the liquidity spigots to ensure that our funding. So there's liquidity concerns.
Yeah.
There's inflation expectations. And then there's credit quality concerns. And you'll say, Foss, there's no concern that the USA will ever default. And I'll call out and I'll say, you're wrong. Because there's actually a market, which is a derivatives market. It's called the credit default swap market, where people are paying for insurance on the United States of America. And if there was no default risk, there'd be no buyers of protection against the default of the United States. Today, there's inflation, okay? So don't argue with the facts. There is inflation today, and stop with your little forecasts here. And David Rosenberg, the two-handed economist, says, on the one hand, there's this, on the other hand, there's this. Guys, look at the mathematics. Stop pretending that math doesn't exist. So what is hyperinflation? I would interpret as inflation that's gone crazy, and 14% is pretty crazy. So are we in a hyperinflation environment? Let me just say, I remember 1980 because I was alive, and I remember where there were gas lines around the block because of the oil embargoes and whatnot. And I remember when interest rates were 20% because inflation was actually 16%. Are we back there? We are on an inflation front, but not in the fixed income markets because the government is suppressing the level of interest rates that otherwise would be a natural occurrence in the open market. Dennis, this is so scary, and it's so coerced, and it's so dangerous for our children. And even more importantly, it penalizes the people at the bottom of the privilege spectrum more than anybody, because the only people that keep up to this are people who own the hard assets like real estate or gold or other things whose price appears to be appreciating, equities, because the unit of account is depreciating. Other people hold their savings in a checking account and they're losing purchasing power daily. That is horrendous, but it is true. We're already in a debt spiral where interest rates at the US 10-year are unsustainable at 1.7%, which means the debt balloon is growing just because of the coupon at a rate where the economy can't even keep up. Imagine if you increase that coupon to reflect an inflation rate of over 7%. That means the coupon has to be 8 or 9%? Come on. Impossible. If you can't do it at 1.7%, how are you going to do it at 8 or 9%? This is part of the fiat Ponzi. This is the debt spiral that they know they have no choice but to push down on interest rates, allow inflation to go crazy, and the people that pay the penalty are bondholders. I don't know where we go from here, but I am a mathematical, a biased. I'm an engineer by training, and I'll just tell you the math doesn't work. Okay, so it's like saying, hey, I'm going to design this rocket ship that will never escape the gravitational pull of the Earth. So you are never going to attain escape velocity, but I'm going to pretend we are because I'm a politician that says, get on this rocket ship and we're going to try and attain escape velocity. It's physics, you guys. It's impossible. The debt spiral is 100% assured. There is no way we will ever attain escape velocity because we never paid down the accumulated debts from the successive global financial crises. It's not hard to predict. It's hard to say when it will end. Okay? And I don't want it to end. So I know where we're going. I just don't want it to end before we have this alternative system in place called Bitcoin, which will allow us all to live a more profitable and a more genuine existence. We have a chance to make it succeed with an alternative system. I know for certain that the existing legacy system will fail. It's only math. History has shown that these legacy systems always fail. But you have these modern monetary theorists that think, oh, I'm in an endowed chair, so I'm going to make this theory that it's going to be different this time. Guess what? It is never different. Things lose confidence. And when you lose confidence in the system doesn't roll over, debt does not roll over, and all of a sudden everything seizes up and we are in a financial crisis that will be worse this time than it ever has.
Before we continue, help us clicking that YouTube like button and subscribe now to our channel. This shows the algorithm that you valued this information. And it helps us spread that message. Sharing is caring. And now, let's continue.
So what? I got involved in Bitcoin in 2016 when the price was under $1,000 US per Bitcoin. Mm-hmm. Bitcoin is a better investment today at $60,000 per Bitcoin than it was when I got involved in it 5 years ago. On a risk-adjusted basis, I have a higher probability that it reaches my price target of over $2 million of Bitcoin. Why? Very simply because COVID happened. And COVID caused all of this other talk about being responsible and fiscally responsible to become moot, because there's no point. You cannot escape this debt spiral now. It's mathematically impossible. I don't know why people are so, well, I guess they failed. They don't want to hear it. Even a renowned economist like David Rosenberg has not done his mathematics. It's amazing. It's really remarkable how many people fail grade 11 math. I'm sorry. I'm calling it out. It is over. It is 100% certain that your fiat will debase. Now, it can continue to debase as long as people understand that's the system. And we're going to pretend this Ponzi can go forever. I would suggest you probably should put in place some protection against that Ponzi ultimately collapsing. And that's called Bitcoin, the most beautiful technology, the most beautiful asymmetric return investment that I've seen in over 30 years of managing risk.
When it comes to Bitcoin, you back in, I think it was May, you had a $2 million price prediction.
Still,
for
it's
Bitcoin.
Still the same. It's in May dollars, in today's dollars. Look, I can easily get to a way higher price than that. I'll just tell you, it's got to go through 2 million before it gets to 10 million. And it's also got to go through 400,000 before it gets to 2 million. 60 guys. I'll just tell you, don't get fancy. Okay? You think you know the difference, it's worth 60 but not 70? Don't fool yourself. You're not that good. Nobody is that finely tuned a trader. Own your insurance, buy 5% of your portfolio in this, and then focus on the other 95% of your portfolio that you really should be worried about. Okay? Because the other 95% of your portfolio is the Ponzi. And this thing's called your insurance. And you say, okay, well, if we can just print money, why do we work? If you can just print money, why do we pay taxes? That's the extreme, right? And people then say, damn, then there must be some problem with printing this money. And that's where you get into the, the subtleties of the, when is it too much? Well, we just passed the point of when it's too much. We can never return. Look, we have the parachute. It's called Bitcoin. And if we can, as leaders, embrace, again, a checking account and a store of value savings account, there's a way out. It's very simple. You have to do a network transfer. And when you have a network transfer, you don't turn one network off and start with another one. You develop it over time. That's what Bitcoin has been doing for 12 years with people who understand it, with layer 2 and layer 3 solutions. Gosh, if you've never seen the blockchain in action, do yourself a favor, go to tradeblock.com and watch the beauty visually of a permissionless system with centralized clearing that allows you to transfer value from anywhere in the world to another Bitcoin address and have it settle in 10 minutes. It's an engineering marvel.
Do you want to know one thing about crypto? I made over 3,000% in profit in a few weeks. Fact is, the traditional financial system, the traditional money system makes you poor, not rich. If you want to earn $500,000, $1 million, you have to wait until you're 50, 60, 70 in the traditional financial system, and you probably will still be broke. And you will be old. This is not a sexy combination, as you can imagine. But the question is, how can you start in crypto and make these profits? Where to invest? Where to start? My name is Gunnar and I'm from Germany, as you can hear. And things are a little bit different in Germany. More about that later on. Fact is, there are lots of different cryptocurrencies. It's a gigantic universe where beginners and professionals get easily lost. But there is light at the end of the tunnel. There are 7 key steps you need to follow to become successful in this market. You have to know them, and if you fail one of them, it's literally impossible to succeed in this market. Just an example, one of the key points is your exchange, and one of the biggest are, for example, Binance and Coinbase. These are trusted and well-established exchanges, but, and this is a big but, you won't find the super profitable coins on those exchanges. The unknown super profitable coins that get gigantic profits are not traded on those kind of exchanges. They are traded on much smaller insider platforms that are barely known. And I can tell you what those super secret exchanges are and why they are so profitable. And another super important thing are the right information sources. The point is, the internet is gigantic. There are hundreds and hundreds of YouTube channels, blogs, pages, and much more. And there are also market makers and influencers. For example, Elon Musk, he is not a crypto guy, but the moment he recommended Dogecoin, it went through the roof, to the moon, so to say. But why did he recommend it? Where did he hear it from? He didn't hear it from newspapers. And believe me, he is listening to someone. But you have to know who, and you have to react before he is reacting. This is really important. And these are only 2 of the 7 steps you have to follow in order to be successful in crypto. And if you want to know all of these steps in much more detail, and if you want to have a comprehensive checklist, here's what you should do. There is a link below this video. Click on this link and you will get the opportunity to subscribe to my channel. Click on the link and you will see a video where I explain the next steps. So see you soon. Click on the link now. I'll see you there.